Sam, pleasure to meet you. My name is Yoni.
Same here. By the way, you probably have here two generations of survivors. A Holocaust survivor and from Nova.
So Sam, can you describe me? How did you survive the Holocaust?
I was deported when I was a year and a half. And if you will ask any survivor, how come you're alive today? Everybody will use only one word: luck. My luck was I was never separated from my parents. And for 2 years, we were somewhere in former Soviet Union. I was subjected to medical experiments. I suffered it every single second of my life, and I will suffer for the rest of my life. But you will not see it on my face. I'm coming from a generation that was very, very stoic, and a German woman, at the risk of her entire family's life, saved my life by giving me milk. I do not know the name of that particular person, but 10 years ago, I was in Israel giving testimony at Yad Vashem. And next to the museum, there is a garden honoring 27,000 people that saved Jews. And I saw a marker honoring the unknown righteous among the nations, and that made me very happy because the person that saved my life indirectly has been honored.
After being through all this in all these years, tough years, what are your main sources that make you feel happy?
Right now, it's primarily, it's my life actually, is to educate the next generation and to make sure not only that they are knowledgeable, but they learn from history. And I talk about the steps that led from nothing to the point of no return. And for them to make sure that they know how to prevent future tragedies, how to react to what's happening today. You're also a survivor. How did you survive?
Well, I was supposed to go to this festival to celebrate peace. It was a peace festival. 3,000 people were coming to this event. Suddenly we see missiles coming from Gaza.
At what point did you know that there was an attack?
The point that it really hit me is when I saw this injured girl, this car coming our way. So we opened the door for her. Her name is Shani. She slides out, bleeding to death. She was shot on her left knee. She was just really, really injured. And we help her out, we block her wound. That's when I understood there is an invasion happening. And then a few minutes later, we hear gunfire coming from the other side, AK-47s. I was in the military for 3 years, and I know how a friendly fire sounds like and how not a friendly fire sounds like. So you hear gunfire, automatic gunfire, and it becomes stronger and stronger. You see this girl in front of your eyes and missiles behind you dropping on the sides, meters away. So my intuition, basically my instinct said, go the other way. So we were hiding in the river, in this valley. At some point, bullets were flying on top of us, whistling next to my ears, and I was looking on my phone to assess my location, and I saw these villages around me like Ofakim, Sderot, and something said in my mind that this village called Patish might be a safe way. So we went there. It was around 24 kilometers. Eventually we walked in the desert with no food or no water for almost 5 hours. 5 of my friends didn't survive it. And the girl that I mentioned, she was hiding in this ambulance together with 19 more people. And eventually one of the terrorists took an RPG, hit the front of the ambulance, and all the ambulance was lit on fire. 18 out of 20 people were burned alive, including Shani. She basically saved our life. Over 400 people got murdered in this festival, like in a duck range. And I'm not comparing it to the Holocaust, but things that happened there is things that also happened in the Holocaust, burning people alive, and things that ISIS didn't even do. And I heard people crying to me because we met other survivors and each one said different things. One guy told me he saw his friends being killed in front of his eyes. And one girl telling me that she saw both of her friends being raped by Hamas terrorists and she was hiding in bushes. And she couldn't do anything because she would risk her own life. So I was very lucky, but they weren't as lucky. And
do you have any flashbacks, nightmares?
I do sometimes about seeing Shani. That picture is very imprinted in my mind, and also when we were in the valley, they were shooting at us and everything. I remember this one moment. I was together with a good friend of mine, and I told him, I looked at me in the eyes, and I told him, I'm sorry I brought you to this festival. It wasn't the right one. And he looked at me back, and he said, Yoni, I'll thank you once we get out alive. We give a big hug, and we start walking. So, yeah.
Thank you. I had a nightmare, and I felt that I am in a void. And although I lived with very loving parents, they dedicated their lives to the two children. Okay, that feeling lasted for quite a while. Don't remember associating myself with children my age, only with teenagers and adults, because that gave me a feeling of being protected, but eventually it went away. And I hope that your flashbacks, whatever it is, would also in time. Have you forgiven Hamas for their murder? Because I've been asked if I forgave.
I think that's the greatest power, to forgive. It'll take me a bit of time to forgive. I'm not sure if I'll arrive to that point. I think that's the biggest strength, is to forgive. Forgive your enemies. Maybe we'll get to that, there's still time. Have you forgiven the Nazis for what they've done?
I forgave the world that stood by and did nothing, but not the criminals.
Was this brutality worse than the Nazis, the brutality that happened on October 7th?
Absolutely. Even the Nazis were not that brutal. People try to compare what happened on October 7th, okay, to the Holocaust. Please don't. If you really have the need to make comparisons, compare their brutality of Hamas to ISIS. The Nazis had an ideology. Here, with what's happening right now in the Middle East, that is pure hate.
They found in Gaza, they found the Mein Kampf of Hitler in Gaza.
Right.
They praise the Al-Qaeda leader, Osama bin Laden. They have it in their homes since they're young. They're born to hate. Do you think that hate can be changed?
Only through education. As long as there is
our
the culture
job
of
or
death.
their job to do that?
It is our job to educate this generation, but it's their job to educate the young children. They have right now in Judea and Samaria, they have 5-year-olds taught how to stab an Israeli. They are getting paid depending how many Israelis they murder. And I am saying, as long as they have the culture of death, things will not change. You ask the young people that are for Hamas, ask them what sea, from the river to the sea, what river, what sea. They have no idea what they're talking about.
A lot of them don't know, and a lot of them they're sure they're doing the right thing.
Exactly.
And what's really interesting is that there's anti-Semitism that we see it as anti-Semitism. A lot of the people in the streets, they claim it's anti-Zionism. Now, do you think is there a difference between both?
Of course not.
Same thing.
Zionism, in very simple language, is the Jews have the right to have their own homeland, okay, and to decide our own future, good, bad, or indifferent.
There's a recent study that says that 1 out of 5 Gen Zers denies that the Holocaust happened.
I have been asked many times if I will speak to a Holocaust denier. And I said, absolutely not. I am not interested in the Holocaust deniers. I am not interested in what they say, because I realize that, okay, nothing will change. And it's not worth for me to spend the time to change maybe one person's perspective. And I prefer to do, instead of something negative, to do something positive and go to speak in schools. Okay, I started with 4th graders, universities. I spoke to the employees of Google and other major organizations, churches, synagogues, Chabad. I even spoke to the Church of Scientology. Everybody should know about it. Israel today is fighting not only for its own existence, but it is on the forefront to save the West.
It's true. That's what I usually say to people in America. I say, I was at a festival. Imagine you're in Coachella, Burning Man, different kind of festival, and you have hundreds of terrorists shooting everyone like in a duck range. That's how you put people in perspective. Also telling them that our 710 is your 9/11, and people deny it on the streets, and it's pretty insane that you can also Google it and see it for yourselves.
It will be up to the next generation, your generation, to make a difference and to make sure that they know how to prevent future tragedies, how to react to what's happening today. Each person has a very powerful voice, and we have to be united. When I talk to the young people, I say, to the world, you are one person. But to one person, you are the world. And we have to care for each other.
I can really relate to what you say because since October 7th, surviving all the massacre at the Nova Festival and everything, I've been doing a lot of talking. It started with press and then it went to delegations around the world to speak about what happened. And like you said, inspiring communities. It made me feel really good. So I guess that whole year was kind of my therapy as well.
And I'm very happy that you're talking, because by talking, this is also
Exactly.
liberates you.
Exactly. Sharing and talking, it's like, if you don't share this, if you don't get it out, it's like cancer. It will kill you from the inside. So
Correct.
I felt that initially when I started to share, at the beginning I didn't want to. I didn't want anyone to talk to me. I wanted to be left alone. But then when I started sharing, I felt quite good. So then I kept doing it.
What is the type of things that have really affected your life?
One of my biggest traumas since October 7th was losing my good friends. It made me really sick to see that a lot of people around the world deny that October 7th happened. And that thing really alerted me. And that thing made me start my journey. I felt that I'm kind of the voice of the people that didn't survive, because I have a lot of gratitude that I'm here alive. I was lucky to be in the right place in the right time. But not everyone had that privilege. And I think I have that responsibility to share this, not only for me, for the other ones, And it's not that easy, It's
Right.
It seems easy, but deep inside, it's very hard to share it every time. I wonder how is it for you?
Recently, we commemorated 1 year from what happened. For me, when I learned about it last year, I went through the gamut of emotions. As a Holocaust survivor, I never thought that I will see what I'm seeing today, not only in the United States, but worldwide, in some of the most prestigious campuses in this country. When they will graduate, they will become educated idiots.
Sam, how is this possible? You see people in the streets burning American flags and spitting on Western values. How come the West doesn't wake up?
They like, to cheer for the underdog. It's everything indoctrination. Like I said before, there is no education here, and you can see what's happening in some of the campuses here. You probably have been in other countries, and I'm sure that you have seen the
I've been to those.
thing.
And if I connect to what you said before, all the students in Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and NYU, MIT, I've been to all these places and I spoke to these people. And I thought, like you, they're pretty high intelligent people, high level people. And in reality, it wasn't that way. I was having a really simple dialogue with these people, and they really don't understand basic facts. They're just spreading hate. They're doing graffitis on monuments and burning American flags. These people might be the future of the American people of the West,
And
of the world.
world.
And that's what scares me. Like, where do you think the future will be when you see all this hate? And it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. I'm worried.
I was and will always remain an optimist. And I tell you, do not worry. It will get worse before it gets better. The pendulum always swings from one extreme to another extreme. And eventually, it will take time, but it will turn to the middle. Things will get better. As you can see here,
This hat, no
what does
fear.
it say?
No fear.
No fear. And I am not afraid to be open, to be honest, and to say whatever I have to say.
No filters?
No. I am Dugri. You know what that means?
Yeah, I do agree. Being New Yorker, being straight to your face.
Straight, exactly.
How was your first experience going to Israel, like after the Holocaust? Yeah.
My first memory, the lasting memory, is seeing a Jewish policeman. For me, when I saw the Jewish policeman, I realized that I am home, my own country. We were always dependent on the benevolence of the regimes where we lived. This time, I realized that we are in charge of our own destiny, good, bad, or indifferent. Nobody will tell us how to live and what to do.
This was 1940?
It's 1961.
1961.
Right, 1961. I wanted to serve, and for me it was, as a Holocaust survivor, one of the greatest pride, being able to serve.
You already survived the Holocaust. Not only that, you came to Israel to start a family, and you went to fight wars to defend Israel. What made you want to fight this war, although you survived the Holocaust, and you've been through enough. Like, I've been through enough on October 7th, but I felt I have to share it and combat hate and anti-Semitism and talk about resilience. I did that for different reasons. What made you went through such trauma, like what made you still want to fight for your country?
Well, it was the love of my country, and I knew that it is my duty. I did not think of the consequences, okay? It was just something that I had to do.
How is this war, specifically, different from the other wars that Israel had to fight?
There is a huge difference. In the past, we fought against countries, Jordan, Egypt. Right now, we're not fighting against other countries. We are fighting against a terrorist group, okay? They are waiting for us. They are booby-trapping all the tunnels. I was surprised when I found out that they have 1,300 tunnels in Gaza. The longest one, as far as I know, was about 4.5 kilometers. Can you imagine going in each one and waiting for you, being booby-trapped and everything else, and hiding behind civilians?
And this is money that has been going through Gaza, and they used it to build tunnels, and we gave it to them to improve their education,
Right.
to improve their
Right.
their wellness.
You give them money, you try to help them, whatever it is. Why don't you ask the minimum? Do they fight for the land? Absolutely not. They were given twice. Everything, 95% of what they wanted, including Jerusalem.
Five times in history, they've been offered to get over 40% of the land.
What they really want is the right of return.
What would happen if they would have the right of return?
Right. And what they want with the right of the return, the Jewish state will not exist.
Exactly.
And that's what
We
they
cannot
want.
afford that.
Yeah. And you know something? They are not united because the Palestinians in Israel, in Judea and Samaria, in Gaza, they are not united. They hate each other. The only thing that empowers them and that unites them is the hatred towards Israel.
Exactly. That's the mutual thing about it. Also, in Lebanon, Lebanese don't deserve what Hezbollah is doing. You know, a lot of them are also fleeing outside to Cyprus because they don't want anything to do with that. They feel that Iran is basically ruining Lebanon. Israel has never started a war, correct? It was always started by the enemy, by our neighbors. Do you see any optimism in the Middle East? Do you see any future for peace?
Yes. I'm an optimist. I will die an optimist. There is no question in my mind that we will prevail. We will win. In every generation, they tried to annihilate us, but we prevailed. And to the world, I have a very strong message. We are here to stay, whether you like it or not.
Like
Am
that.
Yisrael Chai.
Am Yisrael Chai. Amen.
Yoni, I am very happy to meet you. We represent two different generations, but we have a lot in common. And let's hope that peace will come sooner than later.
Amen to that. Sam, thank you very much. You inspire me a lot, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say some of the things that I had to say. Oh, okay.